It's crazy. I feel like I only prioritize like self-care when I'm already in pain.
Yeah.
You're in pain from your massage, though. See, you're only
that
telling
what
half
it
the
is?
story. Yeah.
No, because I don't believe that you're supposed to be sore after a massage. Is that normally
Did you get
it?
a deep tissue massage?
Yeah, I mean.
Yes,
okay,
you
girl.
are.
They went in
It's
there.
right
They were
there.
Why do
It's
I
like
feel
right
like this?
there.
It's like someone was like wringing my back for an hour.
Trust me, I know a thing or two about getting my back blown out.
We know. Can I switch us to a bit of a serious topic? Because, of course, I'm really thinking about Los Angeles right now, and I'm thinking now it's kind of expanded.
Yes.
If you don't know, unfortunately, we are seeing the federal government really, really take an increasingly disgusting stance on immigration, which is just to be sending in ICE and militarized police officers to round folks up without due process. And this week, it's been kind of inspiring. We're starting to see resistance. We're starting to see protests that remind me of when George Floyd was killed. It reminds me of when we stood up and took action.
I mean, the LA riots with Rodney King. It's very similar.
Well, exactly, but it ain't a riot; it's a protest.
True, but I think
you would think
it's not the protesters that's creating the riot. It's actually the militarized kind of presence that's actually creating this energy that is so unnecessary. I mean, I live so close, like maybe
so close. I was thinking
5, 10, 15 minutes away from downtown. And that's also another reason why I kind of felt the need to like really dive into self-care, because, you know, it's something to be said when I'm spending like an hour on the phone trying to calm my mom and my grandmother down, because all they're seeing is like Los Angeles, and then they know my proximity and they're like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And so calming them down, it's very reminiscent of the fires. It's like LA hasn't caught a break if you really want to think about it. Like we had COVID, we had the strikes, we had the fires, and now we're having this. Like we haven't really had the opportunity to like mourn or grieve all of these different changes that are happening. And now so many beautiful people, immigrants who have like built this city, have built this state, have built this country, are all kind of like being completely, you know, terrorized by folks that are supposed to protect. It's very disappointing, and it's very scary when all you can hear is just like helicopters outside, just like kind of swirling around.
Well, and then like the thing that's bugging me is that I'm being told that I should be angry at these protesters. I'm being told that I should care more about property than I do about human beings. I'm being told, first of all, can we talk about something? Because I think I'm so sick of hearing illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
It is not illegal to be in this country without documentation. It is literally not a crime to be in this country. It is a civil infraction. There's nothing illegal being done, yet we're seeing people swooped up like they're terrorists without due process, sent all around, being sent to Salvadorian prisons.
Honestly, that reminds me a lot of I know everybody wants to always like make this comparison as extra spicy, touchy right now, but this really does remind me of a lot of the earlier stories I remember reading from the beginning of the Holocaust, like where we were given where the people were given a common enemy that they started to like look against, and so when militarized officials started breaking into homes, sweeping them up, taking them out of the country and throwing them in other countries' random work camps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's worlds of difference between what's happening, but the treatment of humans who you may not fully understand, who help build your space, is exactly the same.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking to even the downtown of it all, right, where like been named like they want us to protect these buildings. First of all, downtown is Gotham City.
Yeah,
it was never a place where anyone like, you know, like downtown living is the gentrified downtown living that people talk about, but downtown is a little bit rough, like no shade. And also, I think this is also a really great prime example of something that I hope which I don't think we'll ever see in our lifetime, Democrats like learning. You know, Gavin Newsom is such an interesting character to me because he is someone that was just in the face of Donald Trump trying to like kiss his ass and play the game, and then having really harmful Republicans on our you know, conservatives on, basically undermining trans folks in sports and all these things. And he was thinking he was probably trying to play both sides to play the long game. Guess what? You're back at square one where Donald Trump is literally threatening to arrest you and calling you news scum. Like
after you made all of these moral concessions,
and like
you'll
Democrats,
never win from assimilating.
Period. You'll never win trying to play both sides. And I think this is just another example of like, it's so interesting to me as like we're seeing, especially him in this moment. He always has this way of like regaining the audience that he lost before, because it's like, oh, everyone's team Newsom now. And I'm just like, do y'all not see the game that he's playing? He's willing to just completely throw away all his morals, and then the next second he's like Superman or something. Like he's not like here in saving New York. Anyone.
Andrew Cuomo, former governor of New York, is about to be the mayor of New York City. This man literally was like removed from office, sexual harassment, you know, all sorts of other alleged crimes. I'm saying alleged because I have to. You know, like this man is scum.
Which is crazy that he's running again.
But people are like, oh, I know that name. Let me check that box.
I'm sorry, New York never gets their mayoral
no, we don't. No, we don't.
Right. I don't know what's going on over there.
We have a real shot here. And ranked choice voting really changes the game, because what it means is that it gives you a shot to not just pick one person, but to pick who your second choice would be, and who your third choice would be.
Ranked choice voting. So are you saying like New York has like first I want Mickey Mouse, and then second I want Jessica Biel from that one movie she did, and then third I'll take young Kanye West. Like, no, it's back when he was saying like, George Bush hates black people.
I wanted Brooklyn Heights #1, but I put Yvie Oddly 2, and look what happened.
Yeah, I saw that AOC posted her rankings, which I don't normally pay attention to a ton of New York politics. And so I was like, is this a new kind of thing where it's like people are saying, here's your choices, and I'm going to rank them from the best to like, they're still great, but not.
What happens is, it's about averages. And so if no one wins that majority or plurality of the vote on that first round, then it starts to do math that I'm not trying to do, but the math starts mathing, and you might get down to a fifth ballot, and it might really matter who you ranked sixth. It's like the All-Stars when they did, you know, or like Rank a Queen. It's very Rank a Queen. And then you're like, oh, some of those girls who were bad were putting the best girls at #7 because they wanted to, you know, fix the math. It's kind of like that.
Oh my God, you're literally like me when I see like Pop Crave like post something about like politics, and I'm like Pop, like Stan Twitter this, like translate this into Stan.
Can you translate this for the girls? That's what I'm here for. Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Well, girl, like clearly there's a lot that's been charged this weekend. I'm like very thankful that y'all both seem fine and well and alive, despite the chaos of the world we're in. Like, what's been up with you? Like, I want to hear what's one thing, good thing, bad thing about your weekend.
Oh, Ben, go ahead. You first.
Oh, that's not fair. Well, I have a tummy ache right now. So that's been kind of rough.
I'm telling you, the black remedy is ginger ale.
It really
ginger
is.
ale. I know. Or some like ginger beer. I almost got like the Jamaican ginger beer at the bodega down the street.
I'm glad that you said Jamaican, because I was about to come out and be like, ginger beer. Oh, so you're doing the white version of ginger ale.
The Irish version. I am an O'Keefe. I mean,
oh my God, did I tell y'all the last time I was in New York, I had a chopped cheese for the first time?
Oh, congratulations. Out of bodega?
Yes, out of bodega.
They're kind of gross. I know I'm going to hell for that.
Oh, you cannot say that. You're going to get hate crimed.
No, this is actually so real, because it was like 4:00 in the morning, or maybe it was like 2 something, but either way, I was way past like sober. And I got like, I just got it plain. I got it with cheese, maybe some lettuce, and that was it. And like, I guess I didn't really, it gives like sloppy Joe texture without the sauce.
Yeah, it's ground beef. For folks who are not in the know, a chopped cheese is one of the signature sandwiches of New York City bodegas. Bodegas are like small little corner stores with a deli in them. And they literally take ground beef, like a hamburger meat, and they chop it up with some cheese and some onion and put a little special sauce on it. And that's your chopped cheese on some bread. And yeah, it is kind of like a sauce. It's just ground beef.
Yeah, but the thing that makes it gross, and this is a common staple among like New York City, like food carts, like specifically those like hot dog carts where you're like, yeah, I'd like a Philly cheesesteak. Why are these bitches putting old soggy lettuce on everything? Like the chopped cheese part would have been good if they didn't decide to think that it was like a gourmet burger and be like, yeah, we should mush some tomatoes and lettuce in there. Like, does anyone have a couple pickles we can just mush so that you're eating a big sloppy pile of soggy ball? Like that.
See, but on TikTok, they call that like a chopped sandwich, and it's really popular. They do it with everything.
I don't know. I feel like I would try it again, but I think a chopped cheese is literally just a necessary like drunk snack. You need it to like soak up the liquor from the grease of that thing, because and you're also not worried about if everything is clean, because that bodega, I swear, all the chips were like from 2009.
They were all open. Someone took the time to spit in them.
The bodega cat does a lot of cleaning during the day.
Yes. And so I was just kind of like, that was really exciting. Okay, but your tummy ache. I'm so sorry.
And no, I had a tummy ache. I'm fine. That was the story. What am I doing? Yeah, so there's that. I'm going to a protest today with my brother and my mom.
Word.
Yeah. You know me. I'm a little activist.
That's the thing. It's so interesting because I find that Ben, especially in this process, has talked about how he doesn't want to be like viewed as like serious, or like he wants to be at the intersection of like politics and like pop culture, which I think he does already beautifully. But it's so interesting. I'm like, it's kind of low-key your calling. You're great at it. The way that you're able to break down these really complicated things. Every friend group needs a you. And I just want you to
like
sit
the drama.
in that.
I just like the beef. And that's what I like about politics. I cannot stand injustice. And like, if something's wrong, I'm like, why is no one fixing this? This could be better. And unfortunately in life, you start to realize like often you're the person, or you and your community. I've stopped thinking that it's me. I think that's the ego of activism. And
I think it's you. I think you're the problem.
No, I stopped thinking I was the solution.
Yeah.
To be clear. Correct. Sometimes I am the problem, but I really think it's about like community power, collective power. When we show up in masses, we can do anything. There literally are more of us than there are of them, but we are intentionally, I think toxic individuality, and this is something that woke culture has brought upon us, has removed the us and the we, and it's all about me. And you have to realize that you are a puzzle piece in a much bigger picture than you. And you have to humble yourself enough to know. And that's why I love being at a protest. That's why I love activism. It's like, because I know that I am going to be my little piece, my little Lego, my little part, and I'm going to fit into it, and let's build something beautiful together, you know?
It's funny because I love, obviously I love to protest. I love to fight. I love some injustice. Show me some injustice, because I'm going to scream about it, you know? Like,
see, I hate injustice.
No, I think injustice is natural. I think humans have always found a way to put themselves above each other. I think the fun part about the fact that we're such fucked little creatures sometimes is like what you were saying, Ben. When you notice something, it is ultimately your responsibility to choose how to act and choose how to try and make a greater change for something bigger than yourself. I think it's just interesting how protesting and activism in general seem to look like they were something that wasn't being done as effectively after, I'd say, like the kinds of protests we saw in 2020 with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement in general. And then you get another deep dig into another community that really isn't doing shit to the people who are trying to hurt them.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it's kind of like, even if I'm flashing back to 2020 when everything was happening, and I think obviously there was a major like health situation going, and people were still in the streets doing the work. I always found myself to be always kind of very like nervous to be out in the streets in that way,
Yeah.
right? Like I would do it, but then I found myself being like hearing my mom's, single Black mother voice in the background being like, I don't want to get that phone call that something has terribly happened to like my child. And then also like I was like, well, how can I use my talents of like being able to talk about these really important issues? Maybe not be in the streets, but how can I use them behind a mic or in front of a camera? How can I talk about these things in a really like, beneficial way? And I don't know if I will ever necessarily be the in the streets sort of protester. And I kind of want to name that because I think it's important for folks who don't necessarily think that's their lane. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But it's like, as long as you're still talking, as long as you're still bringing it up, and as long as you're still willing to learn and exist in a space that feels like good for you as well as doing the work, I think it's just fine. Because I don't know, sometimes I felt guilty about not being like the Ben of the group.
I think people who are pushing for everyone to rise up and to protest are in the right with their motives. We all should be fucking pissed about what we're seeing. You should be raising your voice about so many issues around the world. I think what maybe got lost during the COVID years, when we were all trapped inside on our computers and had nothing but time to sit and pick apart all the ways that the world had hurt us and that we were hurting each other, I think people maybe lost sight of the fact that just because somebody doesn't take the same actions you do does not mean they don't care. And that there is no moment ever that it is too late for somebody to be informed on how to better a cause, how to join a movement.
Yeah.
I feel like there was this point where it became, oh, you don't know Black people are dying in the streets, you fucking racist. And like, you're talking to like some Indian guy who literally just got here on a plane yesterday. Like, no, of course he doesn't.
Yes, and because I think it's important. I think it's important that we give people grace and we let people know that redemption is the journey. And for a long time, I was in this space of like, I was a professional canceler, literally. Like, that's what I did on the internet for a living. And that's not the right disposition. That being said, I think people need to take accountability for how and where they show up. I think people need to take accountability for their actions. And I think ultimately, we need to eradicate ignorance. Ignorance, by its very definition, is a lack of knowledge. So I don't need you in the street. I don't need you posting on social media. I need you educating yourself, dismantling your ignorance, and then sharing that education with others so that you're doing the work within your community to make the change you need to make. But I do think that, first of all, you can be a brown person and be anti-Black.
Oh,
you can
most
be a
definitely.
Black
Most of them
person
are. No
and
shade.
and absolutely. And this, of course they are, because that's what they want. They want marginalized people to stay marginalized. They want us to stay on the margins. They want us to stay away from each other and not realize that, like, when we show up together, that's when we can do anything. We can sway any election in this country. If the people who believed in the progressive values that we believe in, that I can say most of us probably believe in who are listening to a show like this, if we all showed up, we would win. But we need to make it more inviting. And so that doesn't mean just shitting on people. It means opening a door, but then knowing that people need to step up and do the work to get through it.
Which, speaking of, I feel like the inviting piece, I feel like what Yvie is speaking of specifically were folks that were doing it for social media content.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I found especially 2020 to be a little icky at times.
It's performative.
Performative activism. And it felt like, okay, are you rehearsing these lines? Are you thinking of this to be your next step? I mean, that's why we had so many people question towards the more recent years around like the Black Lives Matter movement and what was being done and who was in charge and what they were doing,
how much money
how much money they were making and how it got
Sean
very
King.
tricky. Oh my God, that white man.
But but Sean King I lived on President Street, like a few blocks up from me. We were coming up at a very similar time on the internet. And we talked about it, and he made a very conscious decision to go into grifting, and I made a very conscious decision not to. That man made a lot of money, made a lot more followers than me.
What do you mean you talked about it?
I mean, we sat there and we had a conversation. Like I knew Sean. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone who gets into it for a profession, that's the problem. It's like it becomes about making money and paying your bills.
Yeah,
and that's wrong. Do you know? And it becomes about ego. And I was super complicit in this. I had to do a lot of ego work because I was in activism is all rooted in ego. It's all about self, either trying to save myself or heal myself. When you look outward and realize that you're doing something for someone else, even if you never get to see it, because you might go to that protest and get your ass killed. And that you didn't show up, then you don't get to benefit. But we have to stop looking at like how we only can make things work for us. We have to start really thinking about the we. And to Yvie's point, we have to start giving people grace. And it's easier said than done because sometimes you just want to be angry and you have it's righteous anger, but it's not productive. It's not going to fix anything for yourself or for anyone you care about.
Which is, I think, is the line that can be a little blurry when it comes to the activists who are starting to make money and kind of making this their career. Because one, it's like they are doing it, I think, they start off doing it with the best intentions. And then once they start to like gain some notoriety and these opportunities come on board, it's like, okay, I still want to continue to lead with my intentions, but then also I'm making a name for myself, which creates stability. And we still live in a capitalist society. So it's kind of like, where's the balance of understanding like, all right, I'm still for the people. I'm still about making, equitable societies and fighting for equality. But I also still want to grow in this and kind of become a leader in that way. Like I'm always so curious about how a person thinks about that next step forward.
Can I tell you, I think it has to be a balance between audacity and humility. The audacity to know that you as an individual have the power to make immense change in your life and the lives of others, that you actually may have a calling for that. And that might mean that you have to build platform, right? And we talk about this a lot. We've said, we have to build our platform before we share our platform. Sometimes you have to build that platform so that you can share that platform. But the humility is what reminds us that the audacity alone is not enough. The humility reminds us that we need each other. That no one got where they are by themselves. Not a single person.
That's not true. That's not true. Drake started from the bottom and now he's here.
But he's not like us. Nobody
But
else.
he's not like us. Eat it.
Wait. That actually, speaking of Drake and Kendrick, Yvie, do you want to talk? I know that you had some shit, and Ryan, you were there too, because y'all FaceTimed me, and no one's talking about it, and I think we should talk about it. We're talking about beef.
We're talking about chopped cheese,
beef.
We're talking about making concessions. We're talking about humility and grace. Y'all, I had the wildest weekend. I think we need to take a break before I get into it, though, because it really was gnarly.
Yeah, y'all, stay tuned because there is some behind the scenes tea that we really need to discuss.
Yeah, between Yvie and
Nicole Byer.
We'll see you in a minute.
Welcome back to High Key.
Yes. Okay, Yvie, no more suspense. You got to tell us what happened.
Please. Oh my God. I don't want to relive it.
I know. Honestly, neither do I. Because I was flown out to LA to record Nicole Byer's podcast. You know, I was coming straight from the airport. It's Pride season. I had a million gigs before and after that I was shifting around. And I was stressed and I know I was late, but through. Actually, I wasn't late. I was 2 minutes before time, which is still late.
Which for Yvie, oddly though, is pretty damn good.
That's years early for a drag queen. Not
time.
Yvie Oddly. I am literally the most punctual fucking drag queen on this planet.
Especially because you came straight off of the flight. Like
You couldn't have been there any earlier.
Yeah, and you're doing this for, promotion for the show, and like it's I'm happy that you were able to.
Me too, girl, but it was still wild because like as I said, I've been flying back and forth all around our country trying to promote the gay agenda. And I went to LA to record this podcast. I showed up to the studio. Ryan was actually there, and we got to have a little bit of a tiny key, but through a fucking like waterfall of miscommunication, Nicole and I ended up waiting for each other for 45 minutes in rooms right fucking next to each other.
So annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't want to blame myself, but I feel like maybe I'm the bad luck charm here because I live right down the street from the studio that Nicole shoots in, right? And so I was like, I'm going to come and say hi and come eat lunch, especially because Tyler, our showrunner, was like, oh, I got food. Honey, I'm not passing up no good lunch. Especially I hadn't ate all day. And of course, I'm to come see Yvie too. But, it just was like, okay, I got there maybe around like, I probably got there around maybe like 2:15-ish, like maybe 2:05. And I knew y'all were back there. You were getting ready. And like, they were like, okay, let's eat. And so I was like, all right, cool, let's eat. And I walked past the entrance to kind of give a format of like what the studio looked like. You walk in the door and you see a window. This window, through the window is where you see Nicole Byer sitting in the studio. Right. And I'm like, okay, work. I didn't say hi. I just kind of went back and found Tyler came and got me, and we went back and saw Yvie, and it was like a whole little thing, right?
Yeah, and then we had lunch. You
FaceTimed me, and this is why I know the timeline. Okay, I went back and checked. Ryan, you could not have arrived at 2:15 because in reality, when you called me, it was 2:11 Pacific time.
Oh, was it? Work.
And I said, "What time does the interview start?" And it was said 12 minutes ago, but no one's come and gotten us.
See, look at the receipts. Look
so
at the
those are the receipts.
Look at the fact checking.
Yeah, so like
NPR that. Yeah.
Girl, that's so good.
Journalism.
That's what's wild is like we were I guess in a way all three of us were sitting in a room next to Nicole Byer for 45 minutes, who was sitting in a room waiting for me for 45 minutes.
Okay, and then what happened? Like they come and get you? Like I wasn't there.
So we also were like keying. We were having a great
we were being
time.
loud. We were having the only high key. Like you already know, my laugh was blowing out their walls.
Yeah. Like our microphones.
But nobody came to get me. Like I've never been in a green room without some production assistant like glued to my back being like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5.5 minutes.
The host normally comes in and says, oh, hey, Yvie, thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy you're here. And that is also, in my opinion, incumbent on the host. If we're behind, it's like, oh, shit, I think actually we were supposed to start 5 minutes ago. You want to come with me now?
Yeah.
Like, have a conversation.
But that's what ultimately didn't happen at that point is like we both just sat in our rooms doing whatever, living our lives, living our emotions. And then after 45 minutes, her producer came in and essentially told me to go
out.
Yeah, she told me to go home. She was like, oh, we should look for a new day to reschedule. When I made it quite clear, at least in that moment, that I flew in for this fucking shit during Pride Month and canceled a doctor's appointment and a dick appointment.
That is,
so
yes.
Like, it was pretty serious.
I think Yvie also was like, I could have done my taxes.
Girl, I actually, yeah.
From 2 years ago. Okay, I have things to do.
Okay, y'all don't call it out. The IRS might be listening.
Oh, okay.
No, this isn't Real Housewives.
Redacted.
No, so like, it just was like a horrible, horrible situation. And that's how I was like ready to leave it in my mind. When you're hurt, I think it's so valid for somebody to feel like I don't ever want to see that person again. I'm not putting up with their stuff. They wronged me, and that's all it was.
Yeah, there was a
And-
lot
Banned
of
from the show.
there was a lot of
Yeah.
things at play in that moment because, like, obviously, just from just kind of sitting there watching everything, it's this. We're in a studio full of women. One, Nicole and her two
Mhm.
producers. Which one we did not meet until later on, who delivered the message of like, this is over. And then they're white. Nicole's black, and then it's Yvie and I, two black folks. And Yvie was really valid in her, like, I just put my nails on. I'm literally like, we were getting up and about to walk over because we were wondering, what's about to happen? And it just felt like, all right, well, I couldn't really add to this pot of things because then we might be looked at as misogynist, and then two, really irate black folks like about to go in on these like little two white girls. So one of them is like, I didn't know, I was in a meeting for 45 minutes, so I had no clue. So it's kind of like, what more can you do? And it was really disappointing to like walk out of that building and all we do is look through that window that I mentioned earlier, and we're seeing like Nicole with her arms crossed and her legs crossed and not even like saying anything, right? I wanted to tap on that window and be like, for real, sis? But it's like, what more could we do? This is not our house. And I'm not like, we can't burn this bridge. It would be completely unnecessary, even though it was, but it did feel like, unfortunately, that she had
Already
a
made up her
story.
mind.
Yeah, she had a story about this moment and this.
And we
this
all do
thing.
that. We all do that where it's like, wow, they're over there sitting and laughing and keying, and I'm sitting over here like, I don't have anything to do. You didn't invite me to key. Where's my food? It doesn't matter. Whatever stories we create in our head, because all we have is one side of the equation. But I will say, I think what happened what happened next is actually kind of impressive. Because I loved how we all got on the phone and we all like were there for each other.
Oh,
And like,
yeah, I called Ben immediately when we were in the car, and I was like, okay. And then Ben was like, let's FaceTime Yvie. And I was like, work. Let's get us all on a call
Girl,
so we
and
can
I was
vent.
still there outside of the studio, like looking for
Nicole?
Yeah, looking for Nicole, looking for a little bit of pot to smoke so I didn't light up, like explode on the spot. Looking for my Uber since I was going to be going back to flying back home where I could have slept, ate, gone to my doctor's appointment, taken my shit, and also like been really pissy that my time was wasted. And it's funny because I did reach out to Nicole after that, like pretty close to immediately. And I have to admit that my first reaction was just like outrage and shock with like a hint of how the fuck dare you?
Yeah.
And she responded exactly the same way, and she brought up some really good points. She was like, yeah, you were sitting and laughing around in a recording studio for 45 minutes, like you did show up like close to the time that recording started, and there are all these experiences, and it felt like you didn't care about me. And my first reaction to that was to write her the nastiest go fuck yourself, go suck a bag of dicks message. And instead I took all weekend to like really reflect on it. And every time I started writing out a response to her response, if it became too much about me and how I was attacked and I was hurt, and then I had to like take a step back because I realized that I was never going to actually have a conversation with her. Like before me, I had two options, which were, you can either burn this bridge with Nicole Byer and go talk a bunch of shit about her on a podcast.
Which, granted, that was the plan initially.
That was the tea. Or you can like try and still make it clear that you're hurt, and still make it clear that like things could have been handled better, but own up to your own faults, and also try and have some grace and empathy when explaining your point of view to somebody else. So, all weekend I was writing these messages, taking the bass out of my voice before I finally figured out the wording to be like, I really am sorry. I'm really sorry. I know how disrespected you must have felt sitting in that room for 45 minutes, like hearing me key and laugh. And that's not okay. I would never put up with some experience like that.
And she said the same thing, didn't she?
Yeah. And like, and then I still made my point of like, I just didn't know I had any control in that situation because I didn't. And it allowed her the space to get out one last little, well, I've never had anything happen like that. And that was like insane. I can't believe it. Before she did the biggest thing ever. So, you know, as much as I like want to beef with Nicole Byer just because like it's fun to yell every now and then. It's
been a while since Drag Race. You needed a good beef.
It has. And it's fun. I think going back to like our earlier points, Ben, I think it's very easy to get caught up in your own self-righteousness. Like, yes, you can be right. And yes, you can be righteous, but it should never come at the cost of somebody else's humanity. And I want to give such major like props to Nicole Byer because she actually said sorry. She was like, she wrote out everything that she needed to get out emotionally about how disrespected she felt. And then she said, I realize I could have done something as well. I realize where I made my errors as well. And I'm truly sorry.
Yeah.
And I know that you're probably salty as fuck with me right now, girl, but I'd be willing to try again. And it's that energy that honestly really shifted my entire like perspective, not only about how you bring up points of conflict in the world and how you fight for things that you know should be differently, but also how you reconcile differences that may not be fully agreed upon.
This is actually bringing up a lot for me because I feel like I'm not one to ever like shy away from conflict. I actually feel like I've gotten in trouble for my spicy mouth, especially when it came to like, I normally don't argue with friends, but there have been a couple of people in my lives where it's gotten there and it's gone there. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, I'd never really learned until after it happened that once you say something, you can't take it back. And
True.
that for me always kind of like fucked with me and like kind of hurt me in a lot of different ways because I was like, fuck, I knew I did not want to even go there. I don't know why I even kind of like felt I let the pot boil over and I let it kind of take over me. And it's something that I feel like I've had to learn about myself of like seeing examples from maybe people I've grown up with, and that's maybe taught me of how to deal with and be like a switch where I think people see me and they meet me immediately. They're like, oh, Ryan's a sweet person. But like when I switch. I get very cold. I get very like, bitch, fuck you. And I might have something to say. And I'm like, I'm trying to not be that way anymore because I do think of myself as a very self-aware person, but I also know that in that self-awareness, it's like, damn, how do you come back from saying the thing that you didn't want to say and like apologize and take accountability for that?
Saying something you said just to hurt or just to be right.
Or you wanted to say it.
Yeah.
But did you need to say it?
And it's one of those things where it's like it sometimes takes learning a lesson of like, y'all were able to come to terms and have a beautiful moment of reconciliation. But I've experienced the other side where I've completely like lost people.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that it was all on me. It takes two to tango, but it's like I reflect, especially on one particular situation. I reflect on that situation. I'm like, what could I have done differently? And what is there going to become a moment in time, hopefully in the future, that we'll be able to reconnect?
Is it too late?
Yeah, is it too late? And maybe it is. Maybe that's a consequence of this beef. Maybe that just comes with the territory.
I'm curious, Ryan, and actually, like Ben, because I know that we're all brash people you know?
Not me.
Brash. Oh my God.
Not me.
I actually don't know what brash means. I thought it was just when you get a rash on your butt.
And indeed we are, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, I'm a little curious. Do you think there's any benefit to allowing some sort of explosiveness? Because just for context, you know, I yelled as fuck in that studio when I was told to get out. Like, I tried to keep the smile on my face while my contacts were sliding out of my eyes. My nails were like popping off one by one. But I was making my point by being like, I cannot believe. Are you kidding me? I'm just sitting here.
Which made it even more juicier that the fact that Nicole was in the other room and can hear every
The
single
whole
thing.
thing.
Hear the whole thing. And still did not say anything. Honestly, I got to give her her 10s because that's pretty cut. She just sat there with her legs crossed and didn't even say nothing. It pissed me off in the moment, but when I can reflect on it, I'm like, oh, you kind of hate that.
I know. If we were on her side, we would have been like, yeah, and you don't owe them a single word.
Listen to that bitch over there. She better get heated. And if she breaks something, we're suing.
This is a nice ass studio. These aren't velvet curtains, bitch.
Oh my God.
Well, no, okay. But to follow that up, I'm curious. Was there a moment where you allowed yourself a little bit of explosiveness or where you may have been in the wrong? And whether or not that's the case, how did you find some sort of reconciliation? What's your best reconciliation?
Well, first of all, sometimes you gotta scream. I remember my partner had a cancer scare, and we really thought my partner had cancer for a moment. And we were coming back from a scan, and someone like cut us off, and we rolled down the window and just chewed them out. I wish I could give it to you, but Jenna would be like bleep, bleep, bleep everywhere to tell you what we shared. And we just looked at each other and you're like, oh my, do you feel really good? Like, oh my God. You know, sometimes you gotta yell.
Not y'all fell in love with each other after screaming and attacking someone. You're like,
no,
we
it
just fell in love in that
it
moment.
made us even deeper. It's like, that's my person. But, you know, like, I think that it can be cathartic. I also am a very bold person. I mean, I'm a very transparent person. I say what I mean. And that's the problem is sometimes I meant what I said what I said, but I still should apologize. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It still hurts someone. I'm not apologizing for my opinions. I'm apologizing that I inflicted harm.
Mm-hmm. For the fact that, you know, I think that's very big because the natural way of life is that whether or not you mean to, you're going to be hurting things around you. Now, like you want to go to the grocery store, you're stepping on the grass, you're hurting that grass.
Yeah.
And this is a little like off track, but like if you know you're hurting somebody, then I think it's pretty big to apologize for that pain. Even though I also think it's important for you to express that hurt, you know?
I was trying to hurt them like the hurt that I felt. And I think it takes a lot of intelligence to be good at hurting people with your words. Like I know that I know what to say to get to someone. And it's just a choice that I made. Now, I also think that I deserve to be transparent about my feelings. And I really like honesty. And I think Ryan and Yvie both, I want people to just say what it is and let's just be straightforward with it. And yeah, I think there's been a lot of times where I've messed up relationships because I just was angry and I didn't feel like code switching. I didn't feel like playing nice. That's the hard part is like the responsibility gets put on us. And that's the thing. It's like, it was Yvie who reached out. Even though, like, Yvie really was the most wronged in this situation, if you look back objectively, right? Even though it was not Nicole's intention or anyone's intention, but it was incumbent on Yvie to, like, repair the harm that was done to her. And I often think that's how it is. And maybe that's just being the bigger person.
And I also wonder, like, can those moments define actually if a relationship is worth keeping? Because I sometimes want to be able to, like, have the space where I know that, yes, I'm never going to disrespect someone enough to like just continue to do it and like try to tear them down. But like when things get heated, I want to know that like we can come back to terms and you'll still like love me and still accept me for me and all the parts of me. And sometimes I feel like in the past, like moments where I have gotten heated are like, in arguments with folks that I actually deeply cared about, it felt like that's when they showed me like this relationship was conditional and like they weren't able to really like accept me for like all the pieces of me. They only really liked the one side of Ryan that was like very acceptable and sweet and nice. But the moment that like I show you that I was rubbed the wrong way, or I felt harmed, or fucked over, it all switched. That was your last straw. And I'm just like, well, then did I ever really want you in my life? Like, did I ever really need that? Because like, that's a trigger for me. Like, no shade. Like, even when I think about my relationship with my mom, I've had to talk to her about, you know, like what unconditional love and what conditional love is. And like, feeling like I've had to hide pieces of myself, my queerness, the way that I show up in the world just to be acceptable for her is a trigger. And if I feel that in my relationships, my platonic, my friendships that are oftentimes as close to me as familiar relationships, it does something to me. And it's like, damn, I now hate myself. And then I also kind of like feel a certain way that you never really probably deeply cared about me in the ways that I deeply cared about you. And I don't know.
I guess like what my question, Ryan, is like, what did you do? Like, what action did you take at that moment? Were you trying to be the glue and keep it together? Or were you like, okay, if you don't want me, I don't want you? Like, was there a conversation? Was there that Yvie moment?
I'm very much the type of person. I'm very much the type of person that is kind of like, well, if we're not going to solve this, let's just cut it off now.
Yeah, me too.
And
Me
it
too.
sucks.
I know.
And I hate, I'm genuinely being so vulnerable now. I know this about myself. Like, I try to like get ahead of the thing because I'm like, it obviously speaks to all the other therapized things, and maybe I need to go see Dr. Orner from couples therapy. But it is something that I've realized. Like, I had a falling out with a friend who we needed to take some time apart from each other, and we ended up coming back and it was fine, but it's still a little weird, no shade. But it was hard for me to take that time away from each other because I was like, well, can we not just solve this and like it be like us moving forward? But they needed time still, right? Like and for me, I was like, well, I couldn't compute that in my brain. I was like, well, what are we wasting our time for? Like, let's just end the thing. Let's move on, and we just don't need each other in our lives.
Okay, yeah.
And I had to like learn that that's not necessarily the way of doing things. Like, sometimes people do need a beat, and like you don't need to control the situation and control their feelings or how they're going to feel to be able to like maneuver forward. And like that's something that I've learned, but I'm still constantly dealing with because it does sometimes feel like a protective mechanism where I'm like, well, I'm protecting myself then.
Yeah, protecting your own peace, right?
Then I don't, but then it can be like a cop-out because I'm like, actually, no, when I reflect back, I'm like, I actually really love this person and I hate that this situation happened that changed things. And
I
wish I
owe
would
them grace?
Yeah, did I owe them grace and did I owe myself grace? And
Yeah.
it gets complicated, which is why I said earlier, like, sometimes a consequence that comes out of this a thing is like, yeah, maybe things will dissolve, but what did I take away and learn from it to apply to the next thing?
It's interesting because in all the responses I was writing and deleting all weekend, the one part that I had to take out that I kept, like, my brain kept trying to sneak back in was I tried my best. Apparently you think you tried your best, and that's good enough for me. Peace out, bitches. Like that automatic closing of the relationship. And I feel like ultimately why at least we were able to talk about things with a little more kindness in our voice, like with a little more understanding for each other, was both of us doing the work to fight to continue a conversation, even if we didn't agree with each other and we didn't end on the same note. And I only really bring this up because yesterday I came across an interview that T.S. Madison did on Nene Leakes' show, where Nene was talking about the kinds of men that she wants to date. And it went into this whole conversation about how the kinds of men who would date and be interested in T.S. Madison,
they're gay,
that was Nene's perspective. It's like that they're gay, and
Just
so
crazy.
I don't want that, and I don't want that fear.
I don't want gay men. Yeah.
And I promise you, like when I was watching that interview, I got so enraged multiple times hearing Nene say things that were out of ignorance and were hurtful. But the reason I bring this up is I think Maddie did probably one of the best jobs I've ever seen.
A masterclass of grace.
A masterclass of grace at every moment where Nene said something that could have been really hurtful.
Yeah.
She said, okay, I see what you're saying, but like, here's another way of looking at that. And honestly, a lot of the time, Nene did not end up coming to meet T.S. Madison on the lines and see her way. And they still moved forward until they found a place where they connected at the end, which is that like all these niggas is in these streets.
Yeah. Don't you think that's like a superpower of like intersectional folks, like especially like Black, queer, and trans folks? Like we often have to just for our peace, a path to peace, we often have to kind of meet people where they're at, and oftentimes have to, you know, take all the hits, take all the bricks being thrown at us just to be like, well, actually, like, let me encourage you and teach you this valuable lesson. And like, I understand the anger that comes from like watching a clip like that, because I also experienced it when I saw it.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to see the other side of that, where like TS is so in her space and knows what she represents and has understood her platform and how she can exist in these cis-het Black spaces that are often rooted in so much ignorance. She knows how to show up and be able to kind of talk about the thing. That she doesn't do it right all the time? Absolutely not. But it's really interesting how it's this superpower that we kind of all kind of have to be able to exist in spaces in the ways that we need to.
Well, because peace is obsolete without conflict, and conflict is not abuse. There's a wonderful book called Conflict is Not Abuse. And it's funny, I actually was at this party with Lena Waithe, who will be a guest in the future on our show.
I love her.
And she and Cynthia were reading the book at the same time, which was like cute. I was like, oh, cool. You guys, you get it.
Oh, now she's talking about the relationship.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that maybe with Lena. Lena also wrote a play that is kind of plays into her relationship and what happened with Cynthia. But I'm not going there. Where I'm going is conflict is not abuse. And so many folks are afraid of conflict, not realizing that like through the conflict is where you find the peace.
Yeah.
And what you and Nicole did was not shy away from the conflict. I'm going to have that conflict, but knowing that's not abusive or intrinsically harmful or intrinsically, negative. It's actually like conversation. It's communication. But instead, we always just want to, let's make everyone feel good and make sure everyone feels good. It's not about feeling good in the moment. It's about feeling good at the conclusion. And that's what happened in this case. Is like it felt terrible. We were hyped. We were on the group chat. We're mad. But at the end of the day, we also love Nicole Byer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We also love seeing Black women thrive. We also know that we have really bad days. And, who knows what might happen to us on this show or something we might do. But like, let's lean into the conflict, know that that's where we find our peace. And I think you both did that. And it's really impressive. It went from, and I was like reading, you sent us one message and I was reading, I was like, oh, Nicole sent a really nice message. And I was like, wait, no, Yvie wrote that.
Yeah.
No, ChatGPT wrote that.
No, that's right. You better ask.
There we go.
ChatGPT, you better tell this bitch she can go suck it politely.
It's like, let me pour out a gallon of water to figure out how to tell Nicole Byer.
I just really love how our real life situations are really helping us like work through some things in real time. And I hope it's helping our audience work through some things in real time too, because there's a lot to be angry about and there's a lot to drag folks about. But if we can have some conflict and some peace, work.
We better be giving conflict resolution, y'all. I feel like
HR.
Take your beef and turn it into a chopped cheese sandwich. That's called a callback.
All right, we'll be back with our high key, y'all. High key.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. now let's get into what we are high key about this week. Who wants to go first?
Oh my God. I'm just going to get my trash out of the way. So I'm high key obsessed with Love Island USA, bitch. I have been needing all the things to just give me a place of not thinking about my own life or thinking about the life around me. And Love Island USA does exactly that. If you are not familiar, it's on Peacock. It's hosted by Ariana Madix. And it's literally these young singles go on an island and they are made to match with each other. And whoever is like the last kind of couples towards the end, and like the audience votes and says, you're our favorite couple, you win $100,000 that you can split. This show is just pure mess. Last season was like a really big season for the show because it was like basically lightning in a bottle, and the cast got really big and famous and everyone kind of like loved them. This season, it's a little bit slower, but I'm still so into it. I don't know what it is about watching cis het folks like mates. Like I'm watching the Discovery Channel.
It's like Animal Planet.
But it really is quite wonderful to witness in a very like, what is like the study of humans? What's that called?
Sociology?
Humanology.
Yes. Yeah. Or like
Humanities?
anthropology. Is that? No, that's the store.
That's like ancient.
Sociology, humanities.
Yeah. But it gives very much like a class of like watching how this works. And I don't have very many straight people in my life. And so being able to watch this all go, it's kind of crazy. I'm a little obsessed with it. I'm not ashamed. I am high key obsessed.
We need David Attenborough, like, observe the strait in its natural habitat.
Yeah, no, and there literally is a British like narrator on the show. Like he jokes about like certain situations and like just kind of leads you into this storytelling. It's really, really great TV. No shade. It's awful, but it's great. I want everyone to watch. And if you are watching, maybe we should talk about it more on our Patreon. You should totally subscribe so we can deep dive. I have a lot of things to talk about.
Just so we can deep dive on Patreon.
I mean, we're already like 8 episodes in. There's like 4 episodes a week that come out. Like the schedule is insane.
Oh yeah, I forgot she's like Big Brother style where they're just like always watching.
It's happening right now. Like it's pre-recorded, but it's like the day before, like it's
like our podcast.
Basically, just like our podcast is Love Island.
Except none of us are getting $100,000.
It's true.
Not yet.
Not yet. Hey, not unless you subscribe to our Patreon.
Every time you subscribe to our Patreon, you give a black queer $100,000. Look at their eyes.
With your gift of just $12 a month, you too can
please.
Can give
I'm
them
a single mother over here.
$100,000.
My dog is she's ruining my couch as we speak. Actually, sit down.
See, that's why we need your $5. Please subscribe. I'll go next. This week, I'm high-key obsessed with gender-affirming haircut videos on the internet.
We got to get you off TikTok. Ever since Ben found out about TikTok,
have you guys found out about TikTok? Okay, so this is actually amazing. There's like 2 that I follow. One is in Rhode Island, this queer barber. The other is in Portland. Of course, that's where they are. And basically what happens is like you get to see these queers come and like talk about the negative experiences they've had trying to get their hair done in a gender affirming way. And you learn their pronouns and you hear what they want, and then you get to see the transformations. And speaking of like, when we pop off, my Aries moon will pop off, like Ryan was talking about, but my Cancer sun just wants to cry. And so I just watch these and cry. And like, I love the transformation when you see the little queer and they're like, oh my God, I look like I live in Brooklyn. And it's like, yeah, you do.
I know.
Yeah,
I know a
you look like my
Kleenex
neighbor.
hates to see you coming. I know the tissue paper hates to see you coming.
Oh yeah. So does my therapist.
Wow.
What are you high-key about?
I'm going to talk about what I'm high-key about, which is a couple of things, but the biggest one right now is probably gotta be Dying for Sex. Like, it's just such a good show.
You're still watching it.
I'm still watching it.
Second week of this being your high key.
It's still so good. It's making me reflect, but that's why it only gets a half of my love. Okay, y'all.
Okay.
Because, like, I already told y'all about it, so let me tell y'all about it.
Okay, yeah, we need a poly obsessed here. Who's your third?
Oh my God. Okay, so my other current obsession right now is actually Miley Cyrus's newest album, Something Beautiful. I think it's such an interesting project because she's kind of giving me what Gaga told us she was going to give us in all the press beforehand. Like, yes, it's going to be dancey and dark and gay. Which, I mean, ultimately
Is
it
Gaga's
was.
album not dancey and gay?
It's totally gay
Well,
and
it was
dancey.
dancey and gay, but she also said there was going to be a lot of these like deeper techno EDM, like German house music.
There was Abracadabra and Disease.
Girl, you can't give me the 2 singles that you're already selling and be like, yeah, there's a lot of this on
What about the
this.
Zombie Boy?
Zombie Boy's
it's a
disco.
great- yeah, it's a great
Exactly.
one. Garden of Eden.
Mama Gaga, we love you. Don't listen to Yvie. What does she know?
Shut the fuck up. I don't love you, Gaga. I really
Stop
love you.
it. Cut
I
this.
really
Cut.
love you.
Production, cut that shit out. No,
No. But really, what I enjoy about Miley's album is that there's so many weird risks that she's taking, and it makes it just makes it like not visually, orally.
audibly.
Orally? No. I'm saying, yeah, or oral. A-U-A-R-A. I'm not going to do the spelling. Orally.
Wait, are you talking about your mouth? Like oral, O-R-A-L.
No, there's a word that is like,
There's orally, which
Okay.
is
Okay, I'm gonna look
still
this up.
referring to your ears. Okay, I need somebody to come.
I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, but orally interesting. I like the way it tastes in my mouth ears. Because
yes, orally means relating to hearing or the ear. It's an adverb used to describe something that affects or is perceived through the sense of hearing.
The adverb was used incorrectly, but we don't have to go there.
Suck it, Ben. I want
Okay,
your sorry, and I want it on all platforms.
Yeah, it says the
an
new
adverb
musical
modifies the verb, and you weren't modifying a verb.
Wait a second. The new musical, this is the sentence that they give. The new musical was visually and orally appealing. I don't
Because
know.
it's modifying
And so
appealing.
if a bitch got to finish her original sentence, I think it was very orally interesting because not all of the choices were about sounding the best. Like I think Miley's voice has really grown into its own. She knows what she's capable of. She knows what she really thrives in. And she's got a really good like rock and roll voice. And she did not let that stop her from making this like esoteric, like transcendental, like vibey dance gay pop album. I'm into all sorts of divas leaning into things that they're passionate about, even if the world tells you, no, that's not for you. That's not what you should be doing. So
This is the real
all about
Miley.
Yeah.
This is the real Miley.
And,
Like
I
this
mean, this is her best work. I will
because
say.
you know, like when she came out, because Yvie, you talked a little bit of shit about when she came out with bangers and like she was trying too much. This was actually like you're in your 30s. This is what I want to make. This is how I want to sound. It quite literally is how she wants to sound. She has a polyp on her vocal cord, and that's what causes her signature voice. And she was talking about that in an interview. I want Miley on this show. I really do.
I think she would totally do it. And I also wish I would have changed my high key too, because mine was going to be music related, but I feel
Just
like I've
add
already
it now.
I'm also high key obsessed with Addison Rae. I can't, and I will not let y'all judge me. Here's the thing.
Maybe you shouldn't have said anything.
No, you will not judge me. This is it. Addison Rae's new album just dropped on June 6th, and it's honestly quite very good. Her debut album, it's just Addison. She's dropping the Rae, and I know we all hate her, and she gave cringe and ick because of the TikTok of it all. But it's really been interesting to hear her in interviews. She did the New York Times podcast. She did her Zane Lowe interview, and she's really been kind of talking about her journey to this point. And I think it really is reflective of what this album is. And I think she's hungry for it. And I don't know if we necessarily have had recently a pop girly who is like doing her own thing, but then also you can tell is really wanting to grow, which is why I think she's getting all the support she's getting from all of her contemporaries around her being like, oh, actually, she knows what she's doing. I've been in writing sessions with her. She kind of really gets in and is trying to strive for something. And I'm all for it. I posted about it and I was like, wait, when did I become an Addison Rae fan? Like, that's kind of crazy to me because I felt like she was a plant for the longest.
You're not an Addison Rae fan.
Yeah, girl.
You're an Addison fan.
I'm not
Addison
gonna hate
fan.
on you for being an Addison fan.
I don't know.
But
She's great.
But if you're out here telling us we have to give her a shot, I think what we all need to do is give everything a cute little sit down. Go to our Patreon, follow our little culture club, and have a nice listen through of Addison Rae's album after we also watch the entire series of Overcompensating together, because I know none of us wanted to.
I don't want to.
No,
do
we
that.
will not be good.
Yeah, but you know what? My roommate and my husband both like made me watch the first episode, and I'm convinced we're gonna do it.
I want to watch the new like adult girls.
Oh,
There's like
adults.
adults.
Until I want him on the show. I want to
be on that show.
love that show so much. It's so
Also,
good.
I would write for that show if anyone's listening. Like, I love that show. It's really fun.
It's great. It's the perfect combination of millennial and Gen Z humor.
Exactly.
Like they really, really nailed it. And
I wrote
I'm
a
obsessed.
pilot like that, but mine didn't get picked up. Whatever.
Oh my God. This is why HIGHKEY has just been reflecting on the things that
didn't get made. Yeah, there we go. And pitching them out.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think that's enough.
Another great show, huh?
Yeah.
Weird.
I love when we just get to sit and talk and have a conversation. It'll be nice to have a guest, probably, I think next week, and we'll have many more. But I love you guys. I love when we can just, I feel like we actually had a conversation where I'm like, wow, I have a lot more to go think about, which is, those are the best ones.
And just all I'm saying is whatever I said earlier, just remember me different. Like, this is a judge-free zone. We are all talking about very vulnerable things in our experiences. And no, we're not always going to make the right decision. But, you know, this is where we can talk about it. And I hope we aren't judged. And if we are, fuck you.
Oh, yeah. And Nicole Byer, if you would like to come on our show, you're no longer banned. So,
yeah, we lifted our 24-hour ban we had.
well, thanks for listening. And as always, stay messy, stay obsessed, and stay high key.
Bye.